Hello, people. I'm Jaby Koay, joined by Travis Wong, who is a stuntman extraordinaire, stunt coordinator, a host. What else do you do? A dancer, a podcaster, so many things. He's just a jack of all trades, master of every one of them.
Dude, I appreciate the intro. I should carry you around with me to like intro me every time I walk in a room.
Travis's channel, just so y'all know, you'll be able to catch that soon. I'm gonna post it here on YouTube, like a link or something, so you guys can check that out, and on Instagram. But I wanted to take this opportunity to talk to you about your experiences working on Marvel films.
Ah, totally.
I feel like my audience would really love to hear about some of that. The first time I noticed you in a Marvel film was actually Doctor Strange.
Oh, you noticed me in that way.
Yeah.
Most people don't see me because I'm in the background.
Yeah, I was like, oh, it's Travis, and I like lost my shit, and I like had to pause over it and watch it again, text you. I'm like, what the hell? And it's always fun catching my friends. Like, I saw Aaron in Altered Carbon.
Yes, yes.
And I was watching Anthony Mackie fight. I'm like, that's not Anthony Mackie. That's Aaron Toney.
It's funny.
And so I texted him, and then we're going back and forth. It's just like such a neat thing to be able to like catch your friends in there. I'm just outside of that community, but I know everybody.
Totally.
Kind of thing. So what was the first Marvel movie that you had worked on?
The first film that I ever worked on, which I'm actually most recognized by people, is Captain America Winter Soldier.
Okay.
Where I have a fight scene on a ship where I fight Captain America, and he basically steals my knife, and then he throws it into my friend Todd's hand. And that's the one I'm most recognized for, because I guess like you see my face a lot. And I worked on that scene for a couple of days, and then I also came back and I fight Captain America in a like 30-on-1 scene where he takes out a bunch of people later.
Gotcha. So you were just doing stunts on that one?
Yeah, I was just a performer on that one, taking the checks.
What was that experience like for you doing like your first Marvel film, like seeing that come to life like in person?
I was really excited because obviously like I grew up as a Marvel fan, like most adolescent and teenage boys, you're obsessed with superheroes. So getting the chance to like work on that film was cool. And it was heightened not only by the fact that my friends were in charge as the stunt coordinator, fight coordinator, but like our scene specifically was on a huge ship. And so like you just saw the amount of budget and details that Marvel puts in. Like we had to go on the ship like a week before shooting just to get cleared by the US government and the military and stuff first. Then we had to go through safety protocols and stuff. Then we show up on the day of shooting and I'm there alongside like 100 stunt people. Whereas normally like on small budget shows, it's me and like 3 people, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
These dudes had tents upon tents for all of us to change and do. We're all decked out in gear and it's just crazy. Marvel's like a machine. They also on that show didn't take lunch breaks. They do what's called French hours so they can maximize shooting time. And so what that means is that like as you're shooting, they'll say, hey, lunch is available and stuff. You can just walk away and grab food, but you just keep shooting. And they just do that so they don't get that hour break where everyone walks away, eats, gets the itis, and then they take another half hour to get back to work, you know?
That sounds smart.
Yeah.
What does this costume look like up close?
It's pretty impressive, man. It doesn't look fake. Like it looks really, really crazy. And then obviously they have performance ones separate from like where it's just Chris Evans standing there. So they have like certain elements I believe will change. Like for example, Winter Soldier, I think he has a normal suit and then I think he has an arm that's a little more flexible.
Okay.
I could be wrong on that. Like my buddies like, you know, Aaron and James Young could really attest to it, but it's amazing to see it live and in person, man.
Yeah.
It's so cool.
The only time I've seen a costume up close was on the set of Aquaman. Kofi was Manta. Black Manta.
crap.
What's the name of the character? Black Manta, right?
I think so.
And like Kofi saw me and we hugged. And I'm like, what? This is like, I actually felt the costume. It's weird. Like, cause I'd never, like for years of knowing people, that was the first time I'd actually seen a costume up close and experienced it. So what was the second Marvel film that you went on after that one?
The next major film would have to be, I think it is Doctor Strange.
Okay.
Yeah, and Doctor Strange is cool because like you said, you saw me in the background of that scene where we were actually doing a reshoot of that scene, but I actually got to choreograph that entire fight. So the fight scene that happens between Strange and Mordo, where I'm in the background fighting, I actually prevised, shot that, submitted to the director, and then choreographed the whole fight scene there.
Can you take us through what it is to choreograph a fight scene and then do it?
Yeah, totally. So like on any normal action film, whether it's Marvel or normal, you get a set script. Then you read and break down the script where you see it'll say like Strange and Mordo face off, and they go hand-to-hand combat, and it ends with Strange flying away. But that's all that's said. Yeah. So then you have to ask the director, like, you know, what's the time code that you want? Like, do you want this to be 30 seconds? Is this 2 minutes? Then based on that, you then have to, you know, do you know your characterization, know which skills they have, what style of fighting they use? Like, Doctor Strange isn't going to go up there and be a boxer. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
So then after you've broken down the style, we then do what's called choreographing, obviously, and then we shoot previs. Previs is something that was popularized maybe a decade ago because of 8711 Action Team, the guys behind John Wick and a bunch of huge franchises. And basically what that is before we would normally choreograph and do a walkthrough where it's just like a wide reference video of us doing the choreo. But now with previs, what we do is we literally shoot the scene top to bottom the way that we envision it, including some elements of dialogue. We do special effects, VFX in it. We also do sound design. So then we film that together with our stunt doubles, take a whole edit, present it to the director, so then he can actually see the way that it should play out time-wise, and also, so they can see some of the coverage and angles that we think would best play and portray the action.
That's a whole profession unto itself, is doing previses now.
I mean, there's guys literally I know that like on Avengers, they had 3 or 4 guys on full stunt contract that didn't go on camera. They were just shooting and editing previses for the whole time.
That's crazy.
It is crazy considering none of us like went to film school.
Yeah.
Like I never thought in my life I'd be shooting and editing stuff. And at the same time though, like the one thing that we all hope is that eventually we'll get the chance to second unit direct. Because essentially like, not to disrespect any of these directors because the Russo brothers and those guys are amazing, but oftentimes what we're turning in, you see shot for shot copied sometimes.
Right.
I'm like 10 minutes out of that whole movie of fights is my shot. So
Right.
10 minutes out of an hour and a half is pretty crazy. Like,
I mean, that does kind of suck. Like they're taking credit for stuff that you guys came up with, but that's sort of like how it is to be a director anyway. Like
Totally.
with the Wachowskis, when they made The Matrix, they didn't design the costumes. They didn't design like the sets and whatever. They said, these are my ideas, give me something. And then they just take it and then they use it.
And it's super humbling to work with directors that are actually open to it. Because I've also had the opposite where you work with directors who they look at your previs and they just close it. They don't want to look at it.
Are you serious?
And then when you get there on the day though, it's a nightmare because they, especially if they don't have like, a background in action, they don't know how to cover things. I was on a show, I'll never forget this, like 2 years ago, Jeff Mata, and we got super angry because I'll never forget the DP and the director just didn't shoot action. And he literally did what's called jumping the line, which I'm sure you and some of your viewers will know, where you break the 180 line. And we're like, hey man, why are you jumping the line there? And he goes, oh, because I can see the trees in the background here better. I was like, bro, this is a fight scene. If you're looking at the trees, we're doing something wrong,
Wow.
Yeah, man.
Who came up with Doctor Strange's poses? Do you know?
So what's funny is, like I mentioned, I got to do reshoots on that film. So the original team was some of the 8711 guys. I believe Jojo Eusebio, could be incorrect, but check the IMDb.
Okay.
He did some of them. But then when I got called in for reshoots, I actually had to do a couple of the hand poses and gestures myself. And I basically submitted, took my buddy Guy De Silva. We filmed like 20, 30 different options of poses, sent him in, and they picked 2 of them. And at the start of my stunt coordinator reel, you can actually see one of the ones that I did where he's like running away and he's like, I don't know, morphing the air, you know what I'm saying? And I was like, dude, we did that. Like, we came up with that hand jutsu,
Dude, I don't know if I told you, but Doctor Strange is actually my favorite Marvel movie. Wow. And I love the poses that he does, all the hand gestures. Yeah. I think it's awesome. And it just adds this like level of believability to the whole thing for some reason. I'm not sure why, but it just works. And it's cool to know that like you came up with some of that.
Yeah, it's pretty humbling when you see your work on the big screen and then you're like, wow, millions of people around the world are seeing this. And they don't know that I was just in my bedroom cracking out on some ideas. You know what I'm saying? My process is really funny. If you guys saw my behind the scenes process, it's so embarrassing. Oftentimes I'm in my living room, like in my basketball shorts, just doing stuff in front of my iPhone.
What did you work on after that?
After that, I would say a lot of TV stuff after that.
Gotcha.
Because my career kind of then transitioned to a lot of choreography. And so I only get to like jump on and day play here and there. I've gotten to be on multiple seasons of Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D.
Okay.
Which is really cool. I got to also then previs and choreograph a pilot, which hasn't come out yet. It's called New Mutants. It was basically going to feature a lot of like characters people don't know about, like Squirrel Girl and stuff like that. And then I would say the last one that I had a really big hand on, it was I fight coordinated and choreographed season 2 and 3 of Legion on FX.
Shit. I guess that's it. So let's shout out like the stuff where people can catch you.
Yeah, man. If you want to stay up to date with me, the easiest thing to do is just follow my Instagram.
Yeah.
Constantly posting on there. The same as there in TikTok. It's the Travis Wong. Okay. And if you want to follow my gym's channel, because we put out tons of content from people on Instagram, it's JA Movement. And then on YouTube, it's youtube.com/joiningallmovement.
Right. And you can catch me and some of the stuff on there sometimes, every once in a while.
Oh, yes.
Thanks so much for doing this, dude. Really appreciate it. Y'all, make sure you follow him on the social media and his channels. I'm Jaby Koay. This is
Travis Wong.
Peace out.